Hey guys, I'm in the middle of editing this video I recorded an hour ago about why the Phoenix Suns should not trade for Bradley Beal, and wouldn't you know it, they trade for Bradley Beal. The powers I possess, I can't even begin to put into words. I'm still going to post this video, but just know when you're watching it that this was recorded and partially edited before this trade was announced. I figure I'll still post it because some of the stuff I say I think is still relevant. But Washington Wizards, get them out of the league. What is this trade? This is the worst trade I've ever seen. Okay? Also, look at this. There will be a major trade made in the NBA within the next 24 hours. I tweeted this an hour and a half ago. You can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Why did DeAndre Ayton eat the basketball? Because Frank Vogel said it was a piece of cake. Who put this? Who the hell put this in the script? This is a serious basketball programming channel. And we take basketball analysis very seriously here. If we don't take basketball analysis seriously, who is going to? It's the last thing we have as a society that's keeping us together. Me and Doris Burke. Hate is a word, a strong word. But hate is a word that I feel defines me in a lot of ways. Hate is a word I feel defines me in a lot of ways. I love hating. I say I don't. I say I try not to partake in it. I take the high road. It's just a lie. I love it. I do. I enjoy it. Today, I wouldn't say we're hating, but, there's going to be some level of hate here. There's been a lot of crazy rumors, right? The NBA offseason's in full swing. We already know this. But there's been a lot of crazy rumors that Bradley Beal might get traded to the Phoenix Suns. This was not a development I saw coming, and everybody's freaking out about this. We've seen the classic, who's going to stop this team tweets. And I have to say, anytime that tweet gets sent out, you're doomed. You are doomed. I don't know if those teams have ever won anything. But I just want to talk about this potential deal and why I think it would be so incredibly stupid for the Phoenix Suns to take this route. And this isn't like I'm saying this because I'd be scared of them. On the contrary, actually, I already am scared of the Suns. They have Devin Booker. They have Kevin Durant. That's a great duo. That's maybe the best duo in the NBA, just in terms of like pure talent level. Nuggets fans, I know, but I'm just saying, just in terms of the 1-2 punch, KD Devin Booker is pretty hard to beat. And I'm terrified that they figure out a way to turn whatever assets they have left into solid depth pieces that they're going to be a very, very difficult team to beat moving forward. But if they blow all they have left on Bradley Beal, I'm chilling. I'm cool. Let's just start by saying this could be a huge smokescreen, right? Like, I don't really understand it. For me, Bradley Beal in Miami just makes the most sense. They have the most to offer. It's a big need for Miami. It's just a match made in heaven, really. The Suns piece of this, I can't say I get. Their package is terrible. DeAndre Ayton, we already know all there is to know about him. Incredibly overpaid and overrated. And I just want to say this. Please stop saying, DeAndre Ayton's a top 5 center. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? That's not a high bar. There's not a lot of great centers. I don't care. It's like saying, it's the top 5 least smelly piece of shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm in a weird mood today. God, I'm angsty today. I don't know what it is. It must be the Sunday scaries. Bradley Beal's agent is the son of the Suns CEO. What's going on with that? Why are there so many people in front offices that have children who are agents for people in the NBA? Is that not a weird conflict of interest thing? I that one's weird to me. But let's just say this, okay? Let's just say the Suns do get Bradley Beal. They have the big three. They're paying Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant $50 million to be on their team. Absolutely insane. When has this worked? That's what I want to know. When has doing something like this worked? Okay, and let's go over the usual suspects, because anytime I fight back against super teams, people will say, the Heat, the Cavs, the Lakers. Yeah, LeBron James does not count. All right, in my opinion, the best player in the history of the game. Guess what? He's not on the Phoenix Suns, so I don't even count those teams when I'm talking about super teams. The Warriors also doesn't really count, in my opinion, because they drafted their team, they built an incredible team, and then they got incredibly lucky with the cap spike where they could go out and get Kevin Durant, one of the most wishy-washy free agents or superstars in the history of the sport, just so happened to be a free agent the year the cap spiked. They got incredibly fortunate and were able to bring him in without giving up anything. I'm talking gutting your team to build a super team from scratch pretty much outside of Devin Booker. When has it worked? It doesn't work. It doesn't. The Celtics, I guess, but they only won one. If you were to ask people, like, that's a little disappointing that they only won one. The Denver Nuggets this year, they just built their team. The Warriors, they painstakingly built their team over the last 4 years to sort of come back from where they were after KD left. The Bucks built their team. Lakers, again, LeBron does not count. Raptors built their team, made the big all-in trade for Kawhi after they already had their core established, and they didn't give up shit. That's a terrible trade. I can't believe that Kawhi trade in hindsight. Actually, what about the Phoenix Suns 2 years ago? They made it to the finals, got to a Game 6, a very competitive series. Could have gone either way, really. Devin Booker, here's their finals roster by points scored in the playoffs. Devin Booker, drafted. Chris Paul, a very smart trade. They kind of got him while his value, I wouldn't say it was low, but they didn't give up too much for him. DeAndre Ayton, drafted. Mikal Bridges, drafted. Jay Crowder, smart free agent signing. Cam Johnson, drafted. Campaign, signed off the trash heap. So a very well-built team that really shined because Devin Booker was great, Chris Paul was still great, and they had a lot of depth. Fast forward a couple of years, they completely gut that depth in the Kevin Durant trade. Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, 5 first-round picks go to the Brooklyn Nets. I understood what they were doing, though. I thought this made sense for them. Chris Paul way past his prime. Ayton, the guy is just... Like, you get the chance to bring in a guy like KD, you should always take it, right? But giving up whatever assets you have left for Bradley Beal would be mind-numbingly stupid. Just so dumb. Like, let's look at some of the past teams. Like, the Brooklyn Nets, right? They were close. The Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving trio. Although I will say, whoever you think is the worst of those three, probably Kyrie, right? At that time, at least, is definitely much better than Bradley Beal is, for sure. They got incredibly close that year. That second-round series against the Bucks could have absolutely gone either way, but that was their ceiling. Like, that Nets team gets talked about often, like, oh, what could have been dynasty. The furthest they got was the second round of the playoffs. They didn't lose in Game 7 of the finals. They lost in the second round. And they didn't go to the second round ever again. That was the only time they made it past the first round. And the big reason for that was their guys were injured quite a bit, and they just didn't have the depth to make up for those injuries, which is very similar to the next team I'm going to talk about here, the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers this trade is so crazy. The Clippers traded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has blossomed into a top 10 player, Danilo Gallinari, and 7 first-round picks, including swaps, to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Paul George. Now, I know the Paul George trade, right? The caveat was, you trade for Paul George, Kawhi Leonard's going to come to your team. I get that. So you're essentially trading for both. But their absolute ceiling has been the Western Conference Finals. That's it. And I will say this about the Clippers. They've actually done a really good job of using whatever assets they have left to build like a pretty deep roster. But still, their ceiling has been the Western Conference Finals, and they've only made it once. And yes, a big reason for their limited success, I guess you could say, is injuries, right? Kawhi, the last time Kawhi was healthy for a postseason run was in the bubble. Paul George just missed this entire postseason against the Suns. That entire series against the Suns, Paul George didn't play. Kawhi only played 2 games. I get it. But when you're talking about this possible trio for the Suns, it's not like it's the picture of perfect health either. Devin Booker has missed substantial time each of the past 2 seasons, right? But he's 26, and it's not like his injuries are like lingering long-term risks, so I'm okay with that. But Kevin Durant, he's 34. He'll be 35 by the time the next season starts. 47 games last year, 55 the year before that, 35 the year before that, misses the entire 2019-2020 season, hasn't played more than 60 games since 2018-2019 with the Warriors, and even then, he gets hurt in the postseason and misses, obviously, tears his Achilles, all of that stuff. Bradley Beal will be 30 by the time the season starts, 50 games last year, 40 games the year before, 60 games the year before that, 57 the year before that. Hasn't played in more than 60 games since 2018-2019. So what happens when one of these guys inevitably has to miss 15 games? What happens? Who's stepping up? Ish fucking Wainwright? Like, is that where we're going to be at? And I don't want to hear no, dude. It's okay because, like, a lot of veteran free agents are going to go there, like a lot of ring chasers. That doesn't work. That doesn't happen. That shit's a myth. You can't just build out your entire depth through ring-chasing vets. It doesn't work like that. Go back and look at championship teams. It does not work like that. Like, what's the bench is going to look like? Ball don't stop, Rashad Phillips, and Andrew Leases. Those are going to be their 7th, 8th, and 9th men off the bench. And that's how it was this past season as well. Like, that's how it was. Does it make more sense to, hey, maybe Ayton has some value and we could flip Ayton for like 2 solid role guys or 3 solid role guys? Maybe we could flip Chris Paul for 2 solid role guys. That's the avenue I would look to take. Because even this past season, like, you had Ish Wainwright getting playoff minutes. That's shocking. TJ Warren, who is done. Torrey Craig, campaign. Like these guys, Jock Landale, these guys cannot be your go-to. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but game 3 against the Nuggets, I got playing time. Do you guys, I got on the floor. I saw minutes. I saw action for the Sun. And this is before even saying like, does this even make sense as a fit for Phoenix? Devin Booker, 10 mid-range jump shots per 75 possessions last season, 5th most. KD, 11, 3rd most. And Bradley Beal, 8, 16th most. This really is Ball Don't Stop's like dream team. I mean, this really is. I just don't get it as, somebody who has pretty openly hated the Suns. I think that I would be fine with this. Like, yes, that's a great trio. Don't get me wrong. That's an incredible offensive trio. And, Book and KD are solid defenders. And I do think Beal, when he locks in, is not as bad as some people think. But it's also just like, what about the rest of the team, man? We've seen that, like, depth has become very underrated. And I know playoff rotations are 7 or 8 guys. But those, 4 through 8 are incredibly important. And teams who don't really have that, they don't win. It does not happen. I always thought this idea of the super teams was very overrated. The era of super teams. The only reason why it worked is because one of the super teams had LeBron fucking James, all right? And the other super team was this Golden State Warriors team that was built flawlessly. Like it was an incredibly well-built roster top to bottom. And that just doesn't happen. You can't compare other teams to those two teams. Interjecting here just to say the next part of this video is going to be very outdated already. Remember, I recorded this 2 hours ago, so the next part of this video is going to be very outdated. I'm keeping it in here, though, only to say, Washington, get out of the league. You're not welcome anymore. We don't want you in the league anymore. Get out. See ya. See ya. Don't care where you go. Get out. So I don't know. As I'm sounding this all out, the Sun stuff just seems like a big smokescreen to me. I don't know. The Heat make the most sense. They have that need. They need a bucket getter. They need a go-to guy that can score. They have the contracts to make it work. They have picks. They have future assets. It's a match made in heaven. I think the Heat will be very, very good if they pull that off. Even if they have to give up Tyler Hero, like you're essentially replacing Hero with Beal. Beal's much better than Hero is. It makes sense. It just does. The Bucks make sense to me. The Sixers, if Harden leaves, makes sense. Like the Celtics, sneaky too. Like a guy who can actually dribble and generate his own offense and attack the rim at will. Like that's also something that's nice. I don't know. I'm just worried. Matt Ishbia. It's like Matt Ishbia comes in, this new owner syndrome. Listen, as somebody who is a fan of a team that has an owner who is very similar to this is not necessarily a good thing. This like stars in your eyes, I'm going after all of the big names I can possibly get. It doesn't really work out. It just doesn't. I will say it's impressive. Like it is impressive how many people want to go to Phoenix. But I can't see a world in which Bradley Beal, the Suns trading the last assets they have for Bradley Beal. I just can't see a world in which that makes sense. And then this proposed trade of Chris Paul and Landry Shamet for Bradley Beal. If that happens, Adam Silver, listen to me. You bald fuck. If that happens, relocate the Wizards. Get them out of the league. Relocate them to Mexico City, right? We need some more international teams. Get them out.